Hello and welcome back to the third series of the day for the Join Dota League Season 4. Now we switch from Asia into Europe. Moscow 5 International versus Denial Esports in this two-game series. We're of course HeflaTV. I am Coucher and for once I am not gonna be solo. I am joined by Grandy Sweeman. How are you doing?
Doing wonderfully, and this should be a pretty good way to start out at least my day. I've just woken up, and now I have some EU Dota to cast, and these two teams, they should be putting up a pretty good fight. We've been watching both of them in the Battle of Central Europe over on our Hitbox channels, and both of them have done decently well. As far as Moscow 5 is concerned, it's effectively Screen Squad plus PGG, and that means that we always have the potential to see a Tusk, which is always something that I'm holding out for whenever they're playing.
Yeah, it's the chat already expects a task to come out as well, but they do start with a Tidehunter. Definitely one of the stronger picks that was left in the pool, but Denial. They go for the IO. Are we also going to see something like a Beastmaster from them somewhere along the line?
Potentially, it's one of Denial Esports' I don't know, comfort heroes. They really like playing it for effing mad, and it does work nicely just scouting out for those global ganks, and maybe that is on the table for them. I think they're going to shy away from it. They already kind of have the puck for some sort of initiation, and they might decide to veer away from Beastmaster, but it's definitely an option. Slark for Moscow 5 is going to give them a really nice carry, a fairly elusive one at that, and I think both teams are going to be pretty happy with the trade-off that they've gotten. Denial Esports, their global ganking potential is pretty immense, and then as for Moscow 5, they also have some pretty insane team fight between the Tidehunter.
Oh, they most certainly do, but the question is now, what's going to be the IO partner for Denial? Moscow 5, one partner they already just banned out, Necrophos. It is pretty scary just because you're going to have so much sustain with the Death Pulse into the Tether heal. And of course, Necrophos all in all can completely shut down a hero, make it so that it doesn't have buyback or just 30 extra seconds of respawn time as well. But Denial, just taking out supports. Ancient Operation is definitely a hero you look to ban out when you're playing an IO because it's all about the regeneration. But whoa, Denial, do go for the Beastmaster. After all, of course, it can backfire, but we'll see.
Yeah, it definitely could work wonders for them. There's always the potential of a Tinker if they really want to get into the global potential. But I doubt that we're going to be seeing that this game. I think this Beastmaster is going to be played in position 4 by effing Mad. That's usually how Denial Esports manage it. For Moscow 5, they're going to pick up the Disruptor, and not only does it synergize nicely with the team fight that they're already kind of creating with the Ravage as well as the Static Storm, it's also really good up against IO combinations. Being able to glimpse back the farmed one back to where the relocate started, or just dropping a Static Field kinetic, Static Storm kinetic field wherever they're relocating to. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's just so sick. I have seen a couple of matchups like that in the past month, I think. And one in particular was like literally every time the relocate came, it was into a static storm and they got wrecked. Literally every single time. So we'll see how well positioned either the relocate will be or the disruptor in just in accordance to that relocate. But Denial now, they would be doing well if they just actually got some solid kind of cores as well that would allow them to properly fight at the moment. They have nice team fight lockdown with just the Primal Roar, Puck with the Dream Coil of course, but they're yet to just pick up that proper IO combination.
Yeah, and that might maintain the case. They might just pick up another hero altogether and leave that IO partner for the last pick. Even though it would give Moscow 5 a chance to ban out a hero, there's just so many good IO partners in the pool that it's kind of hard to completely ban them out. And with Necrophos the only one already taken out, maybe Moscow 5 can take out the Tiny, but I think Denial would be comfortable picking up something else. Or they could just snag it up here. I don't think there's really a wrong way to go about doing it.
I mean, Tiny, especially together with the Beastmaster extra attack speed aura, the Inner Beast, I think it's called, as well as the Overcharge, could be nice, but no, going for the Venomancer. And you said that Denial like to play the Beastmaster as the 5 position role. So does this mean it's going to be a core Venomancer, or are they mixing things up with a Beastmaster? And well, there we go! The Tusk for Moscow 5 International. The viewers will be pleased.
Yeah, it could go either way for Denial. Honestly, I'm not so sure. Yeah, it's pretty safe to assume that one of these is going to be played in the core, and even if they play the Beastmaster in that quote-unquote position 4, effing Mad just seems to find so much farm in that hero through jungle stacks and makes good use of his time on the map. For Moscow 5, however, they are going to pick up one of their signature heroes in the Tusk, and I quite like it here. Denial Esports are very reliant on some pretty big cooldowns in order to get those team fights. If you're able to delay like the puck dream cool for 4 seconds or just throw the Beastmaster Roar target inside the snowball, that's going to stop a lot of Denial's damage. And then also wasting 4 seconds of an IO relocate can be crucial for certain partners.
We'll see, man. It's Denial's lineup definitely isn't what you see from most teams, but then again, so isn't Moscow 5's. So both teams, they definitely have their like own play style, which they've kind of figured out over the past. Just what works for them, and they do go for the tiny in the end. Just one of the more standard ones these days. Definitely a strong hero. Slark probably gonna get just craggied all the time. That's actually a big issue as well if you try to go for the tiny. The craggy exterior is such an awesome ability. Of course, up until like level 10 something, you might not even have a single point into it. But it's going to be really annoying come the later stages of the game.
Yeah, definitely, and it seems that that's what Denial are angling towards. None of their heroes are incredibly strong, especially at the early levels. Once you get level 6s, that's kind of a different story, but at least for the first 10 minutes of the game, I expect Denial to be playing fairly passively. As for Moscow 5, with a Tusk already, they have the potential for like snowball into pounce combinations, and there's definitely some killing potential on whatever's in the offlane. Even if it's a puck, if they're able to catch him out with a glimpse after the jaunt, there's still some killing potential on top of that as well. I think Moscow 5 are going to be looking to play a lot more aggressively than Denial. It's going to be a last pick invoker for Moscow 5.
Well, they have a solid amount of lockdown, I guess, if it should be an extra invoker for the Sunstrikes. But it might just as well be a Wex one. Just drain the Beastmaster out of the mana. Venomancer doesn't have the greatest of mana pools either. Same kind of applies for the Tiny. So I can't really say for sure because Sunstrike, I mean, the pounce isn't the greatest one because you can still run circles even if you're leashed up by the pounce. So do you think it's going to be Wex or Exort?
I'm kind of leaning towards Exort just because of the extra pushing power coming up from Forge Spirits, but Wex also is pretty decent. I think it is just going to be the Exort Invoker. It just seems that that one's just a little bit stronger. Even if you don't have Secures set up for Sunstrike, if one lands, it's still an insane amount of damage.
I definitely prefer Exort in most cases at least. Every now and then, some Exort or Wex Invoker rather just completely surprises me. Goes for that really early Orchid and actually finds the kills as well. But these days, especially if it's like up against an IO Tiny, Denial are most likely going to have 2 heroes at one place at all times, at minimum. So ganking as a Wex Invoker isn't going to be as easy. But to introduce the lineups and the lanes as well, so for Moscow 5 International, Bignam heading towards the offlane on the Tidehunter, leaving Necroman on the Invoker, most likely to go towards the mid lane, with Screen playing his signature Tusk, PGG on the Disruptor, and the last one will be ZXC on the safe lane Slark.
And on Denial's side, it is going to be fun to be playing the Beastmaster in the offlane. As for his supports, it is going to be effing mad on the Venomancer, Io played by Cryo J. Paris in the safe lane is the Tiny, leaving last but not least, Puck by Jural in the mid.
So more or less for Denial, it's all about just getting this Tiny fat. Yes, they have some nice teamfight control and just mid-game fighting all in all with the other heroes as well. But for the late game, it's going to be just mostly about this Tiny IO combination. It's not like the other heroes will be completely useless. I mean, Poison Nova will be annoying, as well as Puck with the Dream Coil and everything. But this Tiny is really just the heavy hitter for their team.
It is. For now, we're going to see both teams sitting on a rune. It looks like Dire's going to secure whatever is top, and Radiant whatever is bottom. It's unlikely that this is going to net them any kills. The killing potential coming out from both of the supporting duos is limited unless they have another hero inside that lane. I expect if First Blood's going to happen early on, it's going to be Funsy to give up in top, mostly because of Snowball into Pounce combination. Just be a little too much for Beastmaster to survive, even if he does have boots.
You definitely want something that can get you to safety otherwise, but at the moment, it is kind of a dual lane from Moscow 5, or never mind, Tusk gonna back off now. Just maybe wanted to see what the lane is and if Necroman needs any help. Maybe he was expecting IO Tiny to be mid lane, that probably must have been it. Top lane Fancy already takes some harassment from PGG, just a few right clicks, Thunder Strike as well. It does cost quite a lot of mana, but then again, it does quite a lot of damage as well. 160 for a level 1 spell is pretty high.
Yeah. Screen for now is going to be running pulling operations for Moscow 5 International as Disruptor zones out Funzy. With the Thunder Strike onto the Beastmaster, there's not much he can get out of this lane, and currently only at 31 experience. It's probably not going to get much better for Funzy. He'll get one more creep, but that's about it. This Beastmaster, as far as offlaners are concerned, it's fairly hard to get quite a lot out of him, unless you get some jungle stacks, which might be in his future.
At the moment, Moscow 5 International, they have that mini Tusk courier, mini screen. Oh, the name is mini screen as well, oh god. They just know that Tusk is their favorite hero, or at least Screen's favorite hero. So far, of course, hasn't been able to do anything, but it's only a minute and a half in. Usually, just gets a few levels and then starts going aggressive, but like you mentioned, Fanzi, he got those first points of XP, and now it just gets that much harder because lane control. ZXC, he's gonna be denying his own creeps as well, making sure that there's no unnecessary lane pushing going on. Of course, the supports at the moment staying around as well. They could have been stacking, pulling, and although, of course, it will just now respawn. And before you get the snowball and the ice charge, your ganking really isn't that great on a Tusk.
No. Haystream going picked up by Funzy. The ice shards aren't enough to block him off, and it's going to be pretty much just straight up traded. Necroman's forced to Fury out of salve. It looks like it is going to be an Exhort Invoker coming up from Necroman, but the puck for now is having a really good time in this lane. As soon as a couple more points into Exhort come out for Necroman, that's probably going to change, and now he also has some Forge Spirits to help out with last hitting. Our last lane down in bottom, Tidehunter's not getting that much, but at least he's getting more than this Beastmaster, so that is in favor of Bigdom, I'd suppose, but Tiny's still getting free farm, which is exactly where Denial want to be at this point.
At least between Beastmaster and Tiny, they're a little bit similar in the sense that Beastmaster, he wants his level 6 as does the Tidehunter. Just, you need to have the Primal Roar and the Ravage to just have your strategy work. That's the reason why you pick those heroes as well, for those big ultimates. But look at this screen coming in with the smoke. He has plenty of mana, has the snowball ready. They want to go for Funzy. Haste Rune has expired as well. It should be an easy kill, theoretically, if they get the pounce, but can they get the pounce is another question. Disruptor can go for Glimpse as well if he wants to, and now Funzy might be in some trouble. Or no, they want to push the creep wave under the tower before they actually go.
Yeah, so the smoke is probably going to wear out on screen before they actually attempt this kill, but for now, Denial have no idea that a Tusk is behind their tower, and Beastmaster over in the sidelines, hiding inside the trees, is going to look for a juke path out of here, and, well, he's currently caught inside a corner, but will axe through a couple more trees, but he still doesn't have a way out of this. He's currently being spotted out by screen. They have a snowball to set up onto Funzy, and he's just running around in circles. The ice shard's going to beautifully block off Funzy, and he's stuck. Nowhere to go. This is going to be our first blood drawn by PGG.
ZXC didn't put a single point of damage onto that hero. He got blocked by the Radiant creep, so he had to bounce the other way. But of course, Thunderstrike was still pretty good, and those ice shards completely perfect. His own creeps, as well as even the siege creep, kept him in there. But first blood is there, and it's kind of to be expected. I mean, Beastmaster, you just can't do much of anything, and being on the Radiant side, you cannot even as easily stack up the Ancients. Oh god.
3-man snowball top. They're gonna set up with the pounce, and now the static charge onto him as well. It looks like Funzy's going to give up a second kill up top. It is going to be Disruptor again to pick up that kill, as ZXC is just not able to connect with an auto attack. But this Beastmaster, after having a pretty slow start, it's going to get even worse.
Well, yeah, and like I wanted to mention, can't really stack up the Ancients either. I guess these days it's a little bit harder, even on the Radiant side, to do the same as well. Previously, when the map wasn't changed yet, it's like easily from the tier 1, just send the axes, stack the creeps, and then farm them up. Mid lane now, screen coming in with another snowball onto Chirol. Puck, can he phase shift? Not using it at the moment, going for the illusion about, and he's safe. Vignam was around as well, but level 3 Tidehunter cannot really help too much. But just Tusk letting his presence be known. It's like, guys, I'm ganking, be afraid.
Yeah, and honestly, even though Tusk is generally thought of as a really aggressive early hero, I think the time when he's going to shine is later on in the game, once the puck initiations come out. If he's able to snowball to counter-initiate that, that could be where this pick really starts to shine. So any kills before then are just icing on the cake for Moscow 5.
But Denial, they are getting the tier 1 at least. They just cleared out the creep wave with an avalanche toss combination and had the entire creep wave to just focus on the tower purely. So that's the tower down. Power Trace already on Soshkar's Tiny, as well as bracers. So going for the drums by the looks of it. Might be like drums into Yasha, into Aghanim Scepter, maybe just drums into Aghanim Scepter straight off. Aghanim Scepter, of course, huge boost of power. Tidehunter, never mind, not gonna get caught. And they just keep on pushing until Moscow 5 just decide to react.
Yeah, they don't have a great way to clear out these Plague Wards, and they might as well. They still have the catapult going, and even though they probably won't take this tier 2 tower outright with the push, it's still a little bit of pressure that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. This Tiny, I would prefer that he doesn't go for the entire drums. I think the Bracer is okay. No, he's going to pick up the drums. It's an okay choice, but I think going straight for the Agnum Scepter this game might have served him better. Either way, we're going to have a Rumble. They catch out effing Mad over on the enemy side of the map. He's going to get a Gale onto 2, but Snowball coming out from the Tusk, going to put everybody into it, and that Snowball's actually not going as fast as I thought it would. He put him into a snowball a little too late. Cold Snap on effing Mad. He's trying to make himself scarce. They do have a Sunstrike that's not going to land onto the Venomancers. He continuously tries to run away here. The slow coming out is not going to have to keep himself safe. His Invoker gets one more auto attack with or without the Wisp movement speed.
It was really risky waiting with the snowball for that long, and not only that, they also got Venomous Gale at least on 2 of the heroes, so got a little bit less movement speed from that initially already. But it's just, by the time they had to wait there, the Venomancer got so far that the chances of the snowball hitting, oh, fucking mad, got glimpse back. God damn, it's... A Disruptor is a hero you don't see that often, so you might not even remember the fact, but always against a Disruptor, when you TP in, you just have to hide behind a tree or anything, just hide somewhere to not get glimpsed. It's so annoying to play against that.
It really is. 100 gold down the drain for effing Mad. He makes his way towards mid now. But it's also a lot of wasted time for the Venomancer. He could have used doing literally anything else. So yeah, that's going to be about it. For now, we're in for a bit of a passive stage in the game. The push up top is going to be constant and annoying coming up from Moscow 5 International, similar to what we saw in the safe lane down bottom. However, there's more potential for Denial to get a deny here. Let's see. They're going to get Gale onto ZXC, pop the Glyph, and pounce away as well as purging off that slow. ZXC now coiled down to the ground. Isn't going to pop that immediately. Waiting on the sidelines as PGG pops it, going to be auto attack down. ZXC silence step, gets the purge, gets the ultimate. That silence doesn't last very long. ZXC trying to make himself scarce, has his pounce cooling down. In a couple more seconds, we'll be able to get it off. The Elusive Orb coming out from the Puck shouldn't be long enough to chase him, and Puck isn't going to jaunt to it either, as Slark makes a clean retreat.
That was pretty damn close though. Of course, what was also close is Disruptor. He had like 4 or 5 seconds left on the cooldown of Glimpse when the Puck came in. If he had gotten Glimpsed as well, it probably wouldn't have been anything, any kills, no nothing. But they got the kill in the end. But it's only a support. Moscow 5 still holding an advantage there, 3-1. Also getting some XP now onto Tusk as he's taking solo XP. Never mind, ZXC comes back in. The greedy bastard Slark wants all the farm for himself.
Yeah. We're still waiting on level 6 for the IO, currently only level 4, almost level 5. Once we have that, Denial will have a little bit of a better chance to find those kills, especially once Funzy also gets his level 6. It's pretty crucial for these ultimates to come out for Denial. Beforehand, getting kills is almost impossible unless they land a really nice Dream Coil, and Jarrell does make good usage of the first Dream Coil, but still with no Blink, I don't expect anything to break out unless we see some aggressive tower pushes or maybe even a smoke. Down in bottom, they have a Ravage available from the Tidehunter as well as the 2 supports, and it looks like they're going to go into Paris. They glimpse him back, and now they have the Ice Shards to lock him in place. They have a Ravage if they really need it. Big Gnom's going to be tossed up in the air, but now the Snowball, with all 3 of them inside it, is going to land squarely onto Paris. They commit the Ravage, and they'll be able to get this kill. Ravage for a kill in the safe lane farmer, definitely worth it.
It definitely is, although you would think that 3 heroes there, they can get the kill without that as well. But of course, supports didn't have a Static Storm for additional damage or anything like that, and that's Necroman finishing up the Hand of Midas at the same time as well. 9.5 minutes in, a pretty good timing to be honest, and most likely we'll just go into Necrovoke straight after. It's such a common Expert Invoker build.
Yeah.
Oh, mid lane, oh, the Sunstrike will not connect, but Gerard gonna go down anyway, even use the Dream Coil for that. So, not only getting the Hand of Midas, also finding a kill straight after onto the Puck. Not too shabby at all.
Definitely not. Necroman's going to be very happy with how that last exchange, if you can even call it that, worked out for Moscow 5 International, and they've been doing quite a bit of work with their support. Still no Walrus Punch up for the Tusk, but PGG now with the Static Storm, getting kills is going to be that much easier, especially on the Puck. Now they actually have a real tool to lock him down.
It's so necessary as well. I mean, Puck otherwise is so damn elusive, and you can't do much about him, but like you said, Static Storm will be enough, and of course, now they have something to await the relocate gank as well with. Otherwise it was just kinetic field and hope that they cannot get out of it or something. But now coming into Static Storm might just completely wreck their plans. And in the mid lane, nothing gonna happen. Speaking of though, he's around, has a haste rune as well for a little bit longer. Without the Ravage though, I don't think they're gonna kill Puck.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. Well, they might as well try. They're going to Gush, Cold Snap up. Jarrell's going to get the silence, but no, the Static Storm coming up from the Disruptor, they'll be able to kill off the Puck, just holding on to his spells a little bit too long, mostly because he couldn't get them off. And Moscow 5 International, I didn't think they'd get that kill, but they're going to cleanly chain together all of their spells.
Just PGG coming in like that. Oh, but the relocate comes out. They want to go for PGG. I mean, it's a disruptor, although he has gotten quite out of farm. The glimpse even came out onto the Tiny, but got his combination off before. Almost, but not quite. So, just one nice kill. Tiny back to farming straight away as well.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it would have been worse for Denial if they got their Wisp glimpse back. Then the Tiny would be stuck over there and would be forced to walk over somewhere else to find some farm. I don't know. That way, Denial are not going to miss a beat. They get the kill, and then Tiny's back to farming up inside the woods. Now with an Ogre Club on top of his drums, he's well on his way towards a very fast Aghanim Scepter.
Oh, bottom lane, fucking mad, or top lane rather. They're going to get the jump easily. Pounce to follow as well. ZXC Darkback is going to land the kill for him. So just another clean kill, coming in with the smoke. Snowball, into Ice Shards, into Pounce. Just nothing a Venomancer can do.
Yeah, not really. We have yet to see a roar coming out from Denial, and it looks like they want to make use of that. Puck is leading the charge, and followed by Funzy. They will have quite a bit of killing potential. It looks like the kill they're looking for is going to be on Necroman, currently farming in his lane. Let's see if he's going to get caught out. He's on the defensive side, but Coil and Roar both change on Necroman. It doesn't matter. The burst damage is too much for him to stand, even though both of those spells were chained.
It's just, man, oh, actually, Wild Lexes are only level 2, maxing out the Call of the Wild before. But top lane, once again, fucking mad. Wow, okay then. Dusk gets the kill this time around with the Ice Shards, but ZXC set it all up with a Blink Pounce. But in the mid lane, just the Wild Lexes, they are physical damage these days, so Beastmaster, having the Medallion of Courage actually boosts up his Wild Lexes damage, which is quite a lot. Joraldo might be in trouble. Gush comes out first, PGG. Gets the Glimpse as well, but Joral, he just juked them out. Glimpse will get him back into the Static Storm. There's the Ravage just as the relocate game. But they don't have enough damage follow-up. Ayo will lose his life though. Bignum probably his own as well. The Illusory will not connect, just barely. ZXC even got clipped a little bit with that. Has the Shadow Dance still if they want to dive, or do they want to dive? Deafening Blast comes out, ZXC blinks forward. Does he have enough for Pounce? Yes, perfectly timed. Necroman got avalanched. Nothing came of it though. Moscow 5, all of them escape. They get 2 kills, just, of course, the Ravage as well. Literally perfect timing.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more. Keeping them in place inside that Static Storm was crucial for that last fight, and Bignum even survives. I thought the Tidehunter would die, but he avoids the last Illusory Orb, and that's going to be enough to keep him safe. We're going to see Hawk farmed up by ZXC as they secure an Invis rune on top of it. And even though Moscow 5 International have won quite a few fights, their pushing power isn't that great, especially until you have the double Forge Spirits coming out from the Invoker. And, well, sure enough, there they are. But even so, the Tier 1 towers are still standing on the side of Denial, and they probably will for quite some time with the constant defense coming out from these Plague Wards.
So, 10-3, Moscow 5 International having a huge kill advantage, although Denial, they should have a pretty decent mid-game lineup as well. I mean, Tiny, although without the Blink Dagger, it's not as easy to land that Avalanche Toss combination. It still does quite a lot of damage if you do manage to connect with it. And looking at the graphs, it's a 2k lead for Moscow 5 in net worth, XP 3.5. Not that bad considering there's 7 kills ahead. But this Tiny really, he needs that Aghanim Scepter as soon as he can, although so far, he's not entirely close to it, still needs about half.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the issue I have with going for drums. It's a nice item to have on your Tiny, but I don't think it's necessary, and if he didn't go for the drums, he'd probably have the Aghanim Scepter completed, and after treads, it's pretty much a free farm Tiny, and it is for Denial, but his impact is going to be delayed because of the items he's chosen to go for.
It definitely is true at the moment, and well, he has at least gotten that 1 point into Craggy Exterior, getting some extra armor. We're gonna see a relocate into Bignum. He doesn't have the Ravage. Should be easy kill. The toss is there. Yes, they get the kill, but the Snowball came out. Chaos Meteor to follow. Ayo goes down. Paris wants to TP out, but got glimpsed back. Boulder's Punch, no screen, doesn't quit it quite. Will the drums be enough now? Kinetic Field though catches him, and okay, that was a funny interaction. Just, this Tusk was spinning around so often right now.
Yeah, trying to get off that Walrus Punch, and yeah, the animation, I believe, is from his glove, the Snowball Stinger. I think that was recently added, even though it was promised forever ago, so the screen's going to be spinning in the air for quite some time, but they still connect with the kills. The Static Storm wasn't perfect, but the glimpse back on the Tiny was exactly what they needed. Mechanism is going to be the choice for their Tidehunter, however. I'm not entirely in agreement with this, but it's going to be a nice utility tool for them, and maybe it'll help them push in a couple of towers. And with the initiation coming out from ZXC, maybe a Blink Ravage isn't all that necessary for their team.
Well, the mech is going to be nice if they really want to keep pushing, just death-balling things down before the Tiny gets too huge. But I have to agree, I usually prefer the Blink as well. Just thank God that they have 1 Blink already on the Slark. If they had 0 Blink Initiators and it's just tight going for straight off mech. It would be pretty horrible, to be honest, just unable to start any fights yourself, but they have that ability at the very least.
Yeah. For now, Moscow 5 International are at an advantage, but it's not super significant, mostly because Denial are farming on more of their heroes. The Disruptor and Tusk haven't really been able to find any farm, whereas the IO, Beastmaster, Venomancer, they've all taken their turn inside the jungle, picking up here or there some CS, and their Tiny hasn't really been touched at all. He's died twice, but that's mostly because of some botched relocates, or not really messed up relocates, but just nice play coming up from Moscow 5 International, I think is the better way to put it. For now, we're going to see both teams grouped up in mid, and we're probably primed for a pretty big fight, starting anytime.
Well, Bignam has the Ravish this time around as well. Too bad he doesn't have the blink, but Paris gonna come in. Avalanche, nope, there's the Venom skill first. Avalanche toss as well. They're gonna bring down Bignam before the mech, before the Ravage. Walrus Punch though brings down the puck, and there's the Deafening Blast. Will land on 2. Paris is not gonna lose his life, not yet at least. Fucking Matt gets off his ultimate as Fanzi. Gonna get the Primal Roar, pushback ZXC a little bit as well. It is a 2-for-2 so far, and can they get more pounds? Does not connect. Fucking Matt still alive somehow. ZXC, he's on the run, no Shadow Dance, Poison. Will not allow him to blink, but now he has it. Screen, gonna get Snowball into fucking Matt, gonna get the kill as well. And might even get another one, Walrus Punch. What? Screen, he actually did it fancy though. Wild Access, anything, one right click. Oh god, the Plague Wards. With the help of the Medallion of Courage.
It's going to be a 3-for-4 after all is said and done, or actually no, a 4-for-4. Tidehunter also died at the beginning of that trade, an absolute bloodbath, and had Screen not picked up those 2 kills, maybe it would have gone worse for them, but my goodness, Tusk cashing out big after that engagement, especially in the level department, now up to level 10. Yeah, I think it's going to be fairly even, both teams losing their cores, but it's probably going to hurt the Tiny more than it hurts the Slark, since he's saving up for that Agnum Scepter and wasn't able to buy a completed component before he fell.
And that fight, of course, was completely without the Ravage, with no mech as well for Moscow 5. Denial, nice focus firing, I mean, just going straight onto the Tiny like that. Definitely a smart choice. But if Tiny gets a blink dagger, not Tiny, the Tidehunter gets a blink next now, they're gonna just be able to fight so much more efficiently. Had they had the Ravage there, land only onto like even 3 or 2 heroes, could have been so different, but it wasn't the case. But Choral, he might get jumped, ZXC, he blinked straight next to him, pounced slightly off as well, and now Illusory about Choral, he's gonna be safe. Oh, never mind, the glimpse back. Do they now know where he is? He blinks out, Dream Coils as well, but there's the Static Storm. Fancy comes in with the relocate, gonna get immediately pounced up. PGG, nope, Toast doesn't kill him quite. ZXC though loses his life, so in the end, it's a 2-for-1. Only losing a Beastmaster, it's a fair trade.
Yeah, that was a very good play by the puck. Usually you're kind of just going to panic there and end up dying, but he ends up dropping the Dream Coil, setting up for that relocate, counting on his team to help bail him out. It's going to be a favorable trade for Denial, getting Paris a lot closer to that Aghanim Scepter, currently only 300 gold until he has that finished, and it's going to be a pretty fast one as well. At the top of net worth chart, Paris is pretty comfortable. We do see Tusk taking a tower in the meantime, getting that last hit on the one in mid, which actually didn't fall during that last team fight, but now Tusk gets a 19-minute blink dagger with going for the magic wand as well as the phase boots. It's a really good timing for him. The initiations for Denial are going to be a lot harder to pull off if Screen's there with the snowball to bail out some of his allies.
So Denial, they have just still quite a lot of fight in them, especially fucking Mad as well. He already has himself a point booster, 1.4k in the bank after that as well. And that's Aghanim's finished. Choral has himself also a Staff of Wizardry, I guess Yule Scepter on the puck maybe, just to dodge Ravagers and the such, maybe even get himself out of Static Storm for a little while, anything like that. Or do you think it's a 4-staff, maybe even a Dagon puck?
I wouldn't be opposed to a Dagon. The heroes on Moscow 5 International, at this point, the burst damage combination is going to be really nice for bursting down like the Disruptor and pretty much everybody, to be honest. The highest HP that they have is 1350 on the Slark, and that's really not enough to survive against Puck's burst combination. Just having that extra bit of damage would be really nice for them. I think that's an okay choice. Venomancer down at bottom, Cold Snap going to need to Meatball as well. Necroman clean TP out after the Dream Coil is going to make it all the way back to base. The relocate coming in a little too late from the IO as well as the Tiny. Trying to find somebody on the sideline screen. Going to be able to make his way out of there as well. So it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade. The Disruptor dying in the meantime in mid lane where the IO and Tiny presumably picked him off. But now CryoG relocated back into the loving arms of Bignum and ZXC is going to give up his life, favoring Moscow 5 International after all is said and done.
Yeah, I actually started the fight with looking at how the Disruptor died. He was running, well, pretty much here, and then Fanzi came in, Just Boost of traveled into the Hawk, Primal Roar, and just easy kill after that. Everybody else ran in as well, but they get the IO in return, Moscow 5, so it's a fair trade, although they didn't get the tower in the bottom lane. And Necroman, although he got a pretty decently timed Hand of Midas, he went for a 4 staff as well before finishing up the Necrobook, so doesn't still have the Necro level 3. It's not going to be that fast. For example, I saw an Invoker today with, like, I think a 16-minute Necro 3 or something, which was absolutely ridiculous to be honest, but if the Necrobook, the more delayed it is, the less impact it has usually.
It's still going to be a really nice tool at their disposal, but you're right, it is going to be a little bit less impactful, but still, if you're going to be getting that at like 24 minutes, and it's still a really nice item to have. The biggest issue for Moscow 5 right now is that Tiny is not going to stop farming anytime soon. The Aghanim Scepter, it's a nice immediate damage item as well as some nice utility for some farming, and that's really where the items start shining, is when he's able to clear up these stacks. Currently 150 CS, and he's not slowing down at all. Tiny's working presumably on a BKB, and once he has that, Moscow 5 International's team fight is very, very limited as to what they can do to this Tiny. Their physical damage potential, they have Tusk, Snowball, and a little bit from the Slarkin Invoker, but not much.
So that is Necro level 2 now. Still trying to pressure down this tier 1, and well, the Glyph is forced out at the very least. Probably they're not even going to come in and defend. As Tidehunter, 200 gold short. So if this tower goes down, that's going to be Big Num's Blink Dagger. So should be a little bit more comfortable for the next push or next fight they want to take anywhere really. But Denial, they have been playing this rather nicely, just split pushing things out. Boots of Travel's Fancy has worked out wonders so far, and looks to be going for a Necrobook of his own Staff of Wizardry bricked up. I guess it can be a 4 staff for Yules or something like that as well, but I guess Beastmasters tend to build the Necrobook. I don't know, I haven't seen Denial for quite some time myself, because I was casting the other stream. But never mind, Pounce mid lane, they're going to go for Cryo J. The Poison Nova comes out immediately, but there's the Ravage coming out from Big Num, catches 3. Or 4 even, IO already dead though. Avalanche not going to connect, but there's the Chaos Meteor, will land on 2. Will it be enough as well? Paris, pretty damn speedy, but do they have the glimpse? Anything? Another toss onto PGG, not going to be enough. Dream Coil used on 2. There's the Static Storm Choral, just runs out of it as the Ice Shards came. Big Num barely alive, glimpse back onto Choral from God knows where. Setexi still alive, wants to go for the kill, but has to pounce away just to be safe. Necrobook not going to catch up to Puck either. But it will be a 3-4-1, I think, unless Choral finds PGG.
Or PGG finds Dural. Let's see, he's going to jump into Necroman as well as that XC. Silence before he dies, but it's going to be a 4-for-1 as the dust settles. Beastmaster, the only survivor from Denial, and the only cost for Moscow 5 International is the Tide. And he got off his spells, so it actually didn't matter that he falls there and already bought his Blink Dagger. Tidehunter is a pretty happy camper, and because they survived, well, there's going to be a Snowball in mid. That's just for wave clear, never mind.
It's always when you hear a Snowball or something like, oh, what's happening, what's happening? But now Setexi, he is dangerously close to his Eye of Skadi. He's about, I think, 600 gold away, 700 maybe at max. So he's gonna have it pretty damn soon. And Eye of Skadi gives you just, you can chase people down a little bit easier since they're slowed down. Of course, the extra tank ability is just so damn great. And whoa, he even has a gem from the kind-hearted PGG on the Disruptor. They don't really have any Invis people to detect, but since Slark, he knows where the wards are when his Shadow Dance ends, he can just scout them out, especially with a Blink Dagger, even just take care of high ground wards.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Denial's team, they're fairly reliant on finding those, I don't know, global pickoffs with some deep wards. So it's going to be a really nice pickoff for them just to deny that. They're going to go into the Roshan pit. Walrus Punch to stun him up with the Necrobooks as well as Forge Spirits on the ground. It's going to be a double life for ZXC, and that Scotty's going to be flying out to him on the courier whenever he decides to pick it up. Sunstrike is going to be dropped by the Invoker. I'm not exactly sure where or why, potentially for dewarding purposes. But there you have it. It's going to be a clean objective taken by Moscow 5 International, as Denial aren't really finding anything else on the map.
Wow, but fucking mad. I'm not too sure. Well, I guess he's been farming quite a lot on the Venomancer, but in 20 gold, or pretty much now, he's gonna have his Aghanim Scepter and the level 2 ultimate. There aren't any BKBs, there's no pipe in the making either for Moscow 5, at least not yet. This level 2 Aghanim Scepter Poison Nova is gonna do a hell of a lot, of course. It is damage over time, so Moscow 5, if they manage to win the fight before that, they might be just fine, but if they're forced into just a long slugfest, they might just lose straight off in the fight just because of that Poison Nova now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They do have some decent tools to save people from the Venomous, or the Poison Nova. Screen throwing people on a snowball for 4 seconds could be pretty clutch, but yeah, I think that Moscow 5 International, they want to take a really smashy fight, drop those big ultimates, and kill everybody instantly inside their team fight combo, and, well, they're going to start out by pushing into the tier 2 tower in mid. Right now, Denial aren't in a position to defend this, really. Beastmaster's up top, he does have Boots of Travel, and Tiny and Io do have Relocate, but the Puck and Tiny are going to commit to this tier 2 tower down in bottom and make it an even trade.
Goddamn, Tiny with a double damage, not even a level 3 grow, but that tower, it's ridiculous how fast the Tiny pushes, and that's his BKB finish now as well. So he pretty much doesn't have to be afraid of anything on Moscow 5 at the moment. I mean, Slark, even if he comes, yes, he can slow him down with the Eye of Skadi, but Slark's damage will not be enough to kill the Tiny. That's for certain at the moment. And Necroman might be in trouble. Booster Travel's coming in. Fanzi will... Yes, he is gonna get the roar. Avalanche to follow. Toss as well. A few more right clicks. Paris gets the kill. Even ends a killing spree with this as well. Fanzi just perfectly done.
Yeah, and that's the power of Boots of Travel combined with the Beastmaster. The combo that comes to mind immediately is Tinker, but I've said before, any hero can build those items, and it is going to be Necrobook for our Beastmaster. He currently has level 1, whatever he wants to fly that out to himself on the Courier. And speaking of new items, we have a BKB now on Paris as well. That last pickoff is very significant. Invoker was farming the best out of anybody on his team, mostly due to the Midas.
Yeah, and he already has another 1k on top of that as well, so what do you think the Tiny is even going to build towards, or is there a certain item he should be trying to get?
I would like to see just install Cuirass, some nice armor for him, some good damage on top of it. I think that would serve Paris well. But maybe he just goes for straight up damage. Honestly, with the Black King bar, he doesn't have to fear much coming out from Moscow 5 International. I think the Assault Cuirass is the safe choice, but if he really wants a smashy item, go for Daedalus.
I think both would be fine. AC definitely is just a more standard choice. It does speed up your pushing as well, so that's great, I guess. But physical damage from Moscow 5, all in all, not the greatest. Maybe you're really afraid of Water's Punch, I don't know. But Choral, he's scouting out things on the bottom lane. Probably not going to get caught. Although PG did come through the trees, but not quite that position. So, does he want to backstab, or does he want to creep skip, or what's Choral's plan here?
I have no idea. I think his plan is to TP back and fight with his team. I don't know. He's on a secret mission. He blinks in. That was spotted by the Invoker. He is going to cut the creep wave, which I suppose is nice. He'll be able to get the CS and then maybe make it out of here. But that is an Invoker. He is going to be forced to phase shift dodge and blink up to the high ground. He should be able to TP out here safely, but Jural, he's, I don't know, deep behind enemy lines. I'm not exactly sure why.
Well, looks like Denial, they want to get the tower of their own as well. Going for a tier 2 mid, so might be another tier 2 for tier 2 change, or rather, might be 2 tier 2s for only 1, because Tiny, he's smacking things up on the top lane. Overcharged, level 4 maxed out as well, helping with the attack speed, and it's gonna be 2 tier 2s. And Moscow 5, they might not even get one if Denial just choose to defend this. They have the relocate to come back. Boots of Travels from Choral, or not just a normal TP, no Boots of Travels yet. So, never mind, tower goes down. Not denied. Bignum blinks in aggressively as well. Gets thrown up in the air. Setexi will miss the pounce as well. Poison Nova is there. Only lands onto 2. Setexi still wants to go for Fancy. He's fucking mad. He's on the run. 4 step from Necroman. Should be enough for the kill. But there's the Ravage. Catches free. Paris had the PKB though. Setexi gonna get stunned up by that Primal Roar. Thrown up in the air as well. A few more smacks. That's the Aegis down. Bignum. He's just getting chased down easily as Necroman. Does finish up Yayo. Bignum finally loses his life. And Setexi, can he rejoin the fight at all? That boar slow is massive, and now there's the snowball. Paris, he's completely solo here. Puck, he's up in the air. He's going to be able to help out in a little while, or is he Chaos Meteor? He's going to land with the Cold Snap helping out, and that's going to be the death of the Tiny. So it's going to be a 3-4-2 and an Aegis at the moment.
It is, and oh, I'm not sure there's going to be anything else. Sunstrike lands on the Puck, but not going to be lethal. Screen there, whenever he gets stunned by the Craggy of the Tiny, he does the animation, but doesn't get the punch off, and that happened to him 3 times. Like, I don't know what was going on with his RNG there, but he was, I don't know, just a little ballerina. A beautiful little tusk.
Oh man, but Slark now has his own basher as well, so gonna be able to stun people up. Maybe not just entirely reliably, but at least gonna be able to do that. So in the end, it was a 3-4-3. Moscow 5 coming out slightly ahead just because Tiny, he's so damn huge at the moment. And Slark, well, he only lost the Aegis, so I guess it was still 3 for 2, man guy. It's sometimes hard to fight recaps. I already forgot about the Aegis, but looking at the overall graphs, it's only a 1k net worth lead for Moscow 5 XP, about 5k, so a little bit better, but nothing just insurmountable or completely massive. Although Necroman has been able to just have quite a huge impact in the fights, to be honest, as an Invoker.
Static Storm Kinetic Field up top. The Yule Scepter from Puck's gonna delay this, and now bringing in some friends. The Tiny Io going to be able to Avalanche and just punch him down. Clean kill instead of going the way Moscow 5 International is going to be a pickup for Denial. Tiny's back down towards bottom. He was glimpsed by the Disruptor, so more than anything, he's going to be thanking the Disruptor, as Paris is going to be able to get to farming that much faster.
Well, farm is something that really not the only core players want, everybody wants to farm. Tusk gonna have his BKB in a recipe. Pignum working towards the pipe on the Tidehunter as well. A smart choice, to be honest, I think, against what Denial has. Although that's going to delay his Refresher Orb by just infinity. Pignum isn't farming up just massively as it is. Top lane, they did scout out Choral at some point. Pignum blinks in forward, even Anchor Smash will get dodged. They know that Puck is somewhere around, but should be able to make it out easily.
Yeah, I mean, the Anchor Smash connects and cancels the Blink Dagger, but there's your Blink. He's going to lose the Orb, go over the top. He is not going to jaunt to that. Instead, he's going to stay exactly where he is. Phase Shift, Blink over the top of Bignum. The Anchor Smash that time doesn't hit. Now Bignum blinks up towards the north. It's a Clown Fest up here, and it looks like Jarl's going to be able to make it out alive. Loser Orb auto-attacks the Slark, giving them vision over the area of where he was. Doesn't jaunt to the Orb. Yule Scepter on the Puck to avoid the pounce. Now he's going to Phase Shift again. Puck Blink Dagger coming up with cooldown. Goes down towards the south. TP attempt. That's going to be successful. They don't commit a Ravage, and Puck makes it out cleanly. Wasting so much time of Moscow 5 International. Like, that was 30 seconds at the very least. His Invoker down in bottom, going to narrowly escape death after an Ava toss. Now Bignum going to be avalanched as well. He's not falling as quickly as the Invoker was. The axe is going to land into him as well, but he'll survive with more than half HP. Tiny going to back out, and nothing's actually going to happen across the whole map.
So that was really weird. I think they didn't even relocate the Tiny in. They just had Fancy TP into the Hawk once again with the Booster Trials. Then it was a solo relocate. I'm not too sure if Paris just ran out of the tether or what happened. They had the Urn on that Invoker as well, but no detection, so just Ghost Walk, run away, even mech just to make sure the Urn doesn't take him down from the Tidehunter. So every now and then those kind of relocates happen where you either forget to bring somebody in or just the tether gets broken or something goes wrong. And now Tidehunter has his pipe finished as well. So with the pipe finished, Moscow 5, do they go for some aggression? Do they wait for Roshan and another Aegis, or are they just fine with farming things up? Do they think they have the better late game?
I don't know, it's always risky to go late game up against a Tiny IO. Even if you have on paper the better late game, if you lose one fight or just lose a hero without buyback, Tiny can destroy your structures that much faster than pretty much your entire team. So I don't think they should be entirely comfortable once Tiny gets an item or two on top of this. For now, I think they're going to be safe, and maybe waiting for the next Roshan's just the best option for them. But if they don't do anything with the Aegis, or if they don't get the next Aegis, that's when things get a little bit problematic for Moscow 5. Effing Mad, TPing out up top. Slark, no way to cancel it. He's going to make it back out to safety. But now Denial. This item pickup coming out from the IO is actually one of the biggest ones we've seen for the Tiny in a long time, as that 308 base damage is now going to give Tiny effectively a free Demon Edge.
It's just such a sick item together with the Tiny. Like you mentioned, just the base damage coming out from him. And nice armor as well coming out against Moscow 5, I guess. Not the most impactful, but there's a relocate once again, this time around onto Necromon. There's the Primal Roar. Should be enough, the Necrobook even activated, but... Or was it Fancy's Necrobook? Yeah, it was Fancy's Necrobook, which is level 3. They're going for Pignum next. There's the Blink, Silence from Choral. Gonna get glimpsed back into the Static Storm. He uses the Phase Shift just before though. He's fine for now. Probably gonna lose his life. Nope, Yule Scepter as well. Can he even make this out? Pounce does miss. That Phase Shift is just such an annoying ability, and he gets the Blink out. Are you kidding me, Choral? He is gonna escape as well.
Yeah, and if they want to chase him further, they're going to be wasting time. Droll makes a clean TP out, and it's just going to be the Invoker pickoff. Denial flexing their global muscles, just that hawk into the Boots of Travel TP. You can't feel safe anywhere on the map, really. We'll just have to see how they're going to utilize that later on, but Moscow 5 International feels like they need to do something with the items that they have now, or else they're just going to stall out, and the pickoffs coming out from Denial eventually are going to happen, and we're probably going to see a similar story to what we already saw in the jungle. Hawk put to travel, Roar relocate in the Tiny and Wisp, and then they can go back to farming. Denial are under very little to no pressure at this point.
Yeah, and man, the Puck Hex is going to be huge when it comes out, and not only that, fucking mad, Veil of Discord, even if you have the pipe, but if the Veil of Discord connects, it more or less evens each other out, especially if Announcer hits level 16 and gets that level 3 ultimate as well. Roshan slowly attempts to put the Hawk scouting things out, as are the Plague Wars really slowly. Denial, they can split push all day long pretty much. BKB is there on task now at least, but Tiny and IO, they just keep making it so that Moscow 5, they cannot focus on one proper just objective. They're always just forced to react to Denial.
Yeah, and that's a big problem for them. We do have Roshan now up for Moscow 5 International to take, and this is one of the best places in the map to fight for them, as they have Disruptor, Tidehunter, the Invoker combination. They have a lot of tools that are really nice at blocking off the enemy team and just making it impossible for them to contest us. And they're also pretty good at taking it, so this should be a pretty clear option for them to take. But then again, if they don't do it fast enough, Tiny up top is going to shred apart this tier 3 tower and maybe even Rax if they're not careful.
It's really the biggest threat about the Tiny is his ability to just build or push down buildings. And his damage is absolutely ridiculous, even without that Lats being there for him. Already hitting for exactly 370 damage. Oh god. If he ever reaches the base is no more or less. And Moscow 5, although they have decent enough heroes, I mean Hex on the Invoker and everything, Basher on the Slark, in 800 gold and Abyssal Blade, unless he wants to save for buyback, they're just in no way keeping up with the farm of Tiny. And Denial, their supports are also getting just the necessary items for themselves. So this game is going to be hard for Moscow 5, I think. Even if they do win a just fight, most of the lanes are pushed in Denial's favor. So Moscow 5, they're going to take ages to just reach the enemy base.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what Moscow 5 International need to do to get back into this game. They would love to force Denial into a 5-on-5 engagement, but just the way Denial are positioned around the map, I don't think that's going to happen. And just the way that their heroes work, it's unlikely that they're going to be caught out like that. Moscow 5 International, they don't pose an immediate threat to taking high ground, and that's really problematic for them. They need, I don't know, just a little bit more than just a Necrobook and Forge Spirits on the Invoker.
But what can he go for? I mean, does he start building some damage as well? Do you get the BKB of your own to actually guarantee your safety in the team fights? I guess BKB might be the wisest choice for the Invoker.
It's the safest choice to be sure, but is safe going to win them the game? At this point, the physical damage coming out from Denial is immense from the Tiny Crystallis, as well as Lifesteal. I don't think they're going to be able to kill him if they go for a BKB on Necroman. I think he might just be forced into going for something a little bit more hard-hitting.
Oh, it's always a little bit risky. I mean, you're like, we need more damage, yet if you get a damage item but just immediately die in a fight, it's not gonna matter. Although, even if you get BKB, you might still get Roared, Medallion of Courage minus armor, and Tiny. He definitely has enough physical damage to bring you down anyway. Doesn't really need the magical aspect on top of it. So, Moscow 5, they were looking good at the start, and I think they just needed to keep on applying the pressure. I'm not too sure why it stopped exactly, or maybe the Necrobook didn't come out quite fast enough for Necroman for them to just be able to pressure down towers or what. They really need to get a lot, not a lot maybe, but a bit more accomplished before Tiny gets the Daganims.
Yeah, they really did, and Tiny's Aghanims, even though it wasn't the fastest, and even though Tiny died a couple times in subsequent team fights, the farming speed of Tiny with Ags is quite honestly absurd, and late game potential, especially when you go for a blink on Slark, just doesn't parallel or compare to a Tiny that goes for Aghanims and then for a more solid 6-slotted build, and that's not to mention the IO behind him and the overcharge benefit that you're going to get.
Well, looks like Roshan, or not Roshan exactly, this cliff here got sunstriked for some reason. Maybe they thought that the puck is waiting there. Fucking Mato might be in trouble. Smoke breaks on screen, so fucking Matt should know somebody's around. Never mind, PG. Come on, Vision. Yes, they had this ward there. Glimpse back. So they're gonna get the 1 kill. Got the Poison Nova off before. Although it's gonna get piped, and it's not the level 3 Poison Nova yet. Although It took them a pretty long time to even bring down a Venomancer, to be honest.
It really did, and that kind of spells the story, and they lose the Disruptor to Bignum, who... Or wait.
He just got denied because he had the poison on him.
Yeah, he had the Gale. I just thought it was the Poison Sting in the ultimate, but never mind. The Gale coming out for Venomancer is actually going to cost him a kill.
Screen at the moment, even Snowball they hawk just to make sure there's no vision for denial. Although they can't even go for Roshan themselves just because they don't have any minus armor. I believe there's no medallion or anything for them. No AC, of course. Gush is their only source of it. So it was a 1-for-1, although Moscow 5, they were ganking as 5. That's just a silly outcome, to be honest, man. And I don't think there are too many support heroes that could have done that, could have gotten that trade-off. Just Venomancer Poison Nova, that's exactly how strong it is.
Yeah, and it's going to get even worse. They're getting a Veil on Venomancer, which is going to amplify him and Puck by quite a large amount, and not to mention the Ava toss combination from Paris, which is still hitting really hard. Unless you're a Tidehunter, maybe, he can survive pretty nicely through it since he has the pipe. But everybody else is going to be hurt quite substantially by it. Slark, even though he has a lot of net worth behind his name, it doesn't feel like he's completely online, and even once he has the Abyssal Blade, if Paris gets a lucky proc of the craggy exterior, he could be in a lot of trouble and just instantly turned upon. So, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is the end-all be-all, but Blink Abyssal is definitely a necessary tool for Moscow 5 International to get back into this game. We now have a Tiny with Daedalus.
God, this is gonna hurt so damn much. With the lads, he's hitting for 463 damage? 73. So 473 damage. That's completely normal, right? Plus, of course, not accounting the crits.
Which is 240% on top of that. Like, it's damage that you'd expect to see from a PA, but it's cleaved for like 50%, is it, with Aghanim Scepter? It's unavoidable, and you can't ignore it either. Moscow 5 International, they need a tool to deal with this Tiny, and the best tool that they have is the Scythe on the Invoker, but with the Force Staff, they don't have a great way to surprise him. There's still time for Tiny, if his reaction times are good, to pop that BKB, and if he gets the Black King Bar off from the fight, Moscow 5, they probably just have to run. I don't think they can do anything about it. They might be able to delay by punching him with screen, but we've already seen how that kind of works. He got stunned by Craggy 3 times in a row, and if his RNG is any indication of the future, he's not going to be able to get it off reliably. Puck, however, in the meantime, Hex down, killed off by the Invoker Slug and the Tidehunter. They were able to get a pretty nice pickoff for themselves, but this pickoff doesn't mean that they can push into any lane.
It definitely doesn't, unfortunately for them. Puck, he was trying to do the same shenanigans he has been for quite some time. Fancy now gonna run into PGG. There's the Primal Roar coming out. Necrobook activated. Doesn't even need any assistance at all. Oh my god. PGG, he thought he can just delay things out, but he thought that Fancy's probably gonna panic mode, try to escape, and now in the meantime, Roshan is being attempted, but getting scouted out as well. They have to TP out already. ZXC also TPing out because they just lost melee racks. Now the jump comes in big enough. He's already so low. Walrus Punch used, but Paris is completely healthy. BKB activated. Gets the kill on Tusk. Of course, without the IO, it's not as effective, but IO gonna come back. There's the Ravage. A little bit too soon, but Paris gonna lose his life anyway. IO comes back now. Did he really relocate out without the Tiny before?
Yeah, he did. Which is terrible for CryoJ. Now he's going to pay for it. Buyback from the Tiny is going to keep Paris on the field for now. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Denial. If you do BKB, it does break the tether, so you have to reapply. And can you actually reapply? I think you can.
I think these days you can. I think it was impossible at some point, but they changed, like, you can Ice Armor and Mist Coil people who are BKB'd and so on. So I think tether should work now as well, but well, Roshan is going on, or rather Denial, they tried to do it, and now Paris coming in. Will it be fast enough though? There's the Avalanche onto Necroman. Pansy comes in with the Roar as well. They're buying some time. The Fang Blast did come out, but Roshan's still alive. Fucking man goes back in as well. Oh, what? ZXC, he got it, the pounce up, but he's gonna lose the Aegis immediately, and he's on the high ground as well. They need something to stop the blink, stop the pounce. They're waiting for it, and they get ZXC. Dark Pact is there. Don't think you can escape the pounce. I think went onto Choral, and now Shadowland is activated, wants to buy time for the blink. Venom Scale a second too late. So he's gonna make it out, or is he? Glimpse onto Choral. And well, there's the Dream Coil, lands triple silence as well coming out screen. He's on the run, but look at the cleave from Tiny, my freaking god. No extra attack speed, finally gonna come out. ZXC will lose his life. Invoker bought back for this as well, but at least Slark has buyback. this was just horrible for Moscow 5, really.
It was. And Disruptor dies to the Venomancer inside his own base. You can't do anything. Tiny is now up to 3,500 gold on top of his already dataless Assault Cuirass, BKB, Aghanim, Scepter, getting dangerously close to being 6-slotted. They already took the melee barracks up top, and that was with no fight at all coming out from Moscow 5 International. And then when they do fight, as long as Tiny has backup, there's nothing that they can do. Tiny's considering what he should buy. That's not the item. Okay, he's getting a helm and working towards the Satanic. That makes a whole lot of sense.
I thought, what? The double Vlads? Just value? I don't know. So yeah, Satanic is gonna be huge. And it's just gonna get back to full HP like nothing with the Satanic. Like, doesn't even need all the duration of it, just one right click. Okay, maybe not that little, but it's gonna be close enough. ZXC, he just purchases up a full Abyssal Blade because his buyback is on cooldown anyway. But he's hitting for 228 for the most part, depending on what his power trades are on. And Tiny is hitting like 4 times harder, especially with the critting as well. This Slark is a great late game carry in general, but first of all, you need to be rather close to being 6-slotted yourself. Plus, Tiny is just that much stronger because he has cleave.
Yeah. Tiny's almost 10,000 gold ahead of the Slark. It's a little bit less than that, but it feels like it in impact. And if Slark was on even footing with the Tiny, maybe there's a potential that he's able to kill him off. But I don't think there's really a chance for him. He's critting for almost 1,200, and that's with lifesteal from Vlad's as well as from Helm of the Dominator, which I believe is going to be up to 30%, and it's going to get a Satanic on top of that very soon. Once he does, killing him off is almost impossible. They don't have a way to stop Tiny at all.
It's going to be a huge problem for them. I don't even know what they can do at the moment. Just maybe hex him up, Chaos Meteor, blow everything. They are trying to go for it. Cryo Jade, they have to kill the IO first, and they realize there's the hex onto Cryo, Necrobook activated. Should be a kill, Deafening Blast onto Paris, of course, has a BKB, gonna go for big enough. There's the Abyssal Blade though. This is probably their best chance to get the kill, since Paris doesn't have a TP and he is gonna lose his life.
Yeah, that's going to be Tiny down, and this is a huge opening for Moscow 5 International. They're going to immediately smoke up. They need to get high ground off of this, or at least threaten the high ground. They are potentially going to find something inside their own jungle. Blinkford by the Tidehunter, looking to find a gush onto anything. Effing Mad slithers away. Boots of Travel away from the Beastmaster is going to keep him safe. But Moscow 5 International, they have a minute and a half, which is usually plenty to get towers, but they're kind of wasting time. They will be able to snowball Effing Mad, glimpse it back on top of it. They will get the Venomancer pick off as well. He's stuck. There's the Walrus Punch to secure the kill, and, well, there you have it. But their lanes aren't in a great situation for pushing high ground. The Tiny's almost going to be back in a minute, and the furthest that they've pushed is at the river mark.
And in the meantime, of course, Puck also cleaned up the range racks just with the help of a few creeps. Oh, God, a sneeze is coming. I can feel a sneeze coming. It's going to be horrible, but... So, they're a full set of racks behind now, and it's the worst possible lane as well. Top lane is a lane that gets the least attention usually, just because Roshan is on the bottom side and whatever. So, Moscow 5, they're definitely in a bad position, and from some point onwards, they can just relocate in for just pushing down some extra buildings in the base. Just when Moscow 5 is not in position. Although Choral, he actually joins to the creep wave. Is he going to get caught as well? There's the Static Storm. Still has the Ult Scepter to buy some time. I still think he's going to go down here. They have a Hex and yeah, no escape. So Choral, he got punished once again.
Yeah. This time, however, I think that death is acceptable since it's going to buy time for Tiny to get back in this game and he has buyback. It's not a great situation to be in as a Puck, but Moscow 5 International, they get a really big pick-off, but they're not able to do much of anything off of it. 2-3 Tower hasn't been scratched at all, and they're going to try their best to push into it. And they do some decent damage with the Necrobook, Alacrity on the Slark, but now a Glyph, Tiny's back up, and they can buy back in the Puck and look for an initiation here. And they could also just, like, relocate down towards bottom and get a Rax of their own and force them back if they do lose these structures. But now they jump in, throw Bignum up in the air, trying to focus it down. He's Abyssal. They're trying to focus him with the Walrus Punch as well. Paris still in the BKB. Now is dropping fairly low. He's hexed up. He's going to eat a Meteor, and he will fall. The Io wasn't tethered to him and wasn't able to get off his lifesteal. So now Screen, focus down. He's the next one to die. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Bounce away from ZXC is going to keep him safe. Tornado securing the retreat. Lands onto Effing Mad on top of it. Tower is destroyed by the Dire, but Moscow 5 International don't have enough left in the tank immediately to go back into this.
A little bit unfortunate for them, and the Poison Nova did quite a lot, but not enough ZXC. He's back to full HP. Tiny, no buyback just because he chose to use the buyback. once he died in the top lane when he didn't get relocated out. But they're gonna go in. There is the backdoor protection for now. ZXC has to back off, wait for the creeps, but there's the blinking Hex. Hex in return, static storm onto Choral as well. Can they get the kill? Relocate does come out. It's not too far though. He's still alive though, out of the static storm. Now they're focusing the racks slowly. Fucking Matt goes in with that ultimate, only 60-second cooldown. And Moscow 5, they're not gonna claim racks. PGG will lose his life as well. Might even lose Necroman if they only have some vision, which doesn't look like it. So Moscow 5, they actually failed to get racks from this.
Yeah, and on top of that, the range barracks up top falls in the favor of Denial, and even though Tiny dies for the second time, he now has buyback, and Denial are in command of this game. They lose a tier 4 tower on top of it. Like, I don't know, Moscow 5 International, they just weren't able to accomplish anything. They get a tier 3 tower for their trouble, but lose one too many heroes and don't do anything off of it. They are building towards a refresher on the Tidehunter, and they have a BKB on their Slark, which are nice items to be sure, but if Denial are fighting as a 5-man unit, it's still looking pretty grim for them, although they have a new lease on life. Now that Invoker and Slark are working towards their next big items, it looks like it's BKB for both.
Yeah, BKB definitely not gonna hurt them at all, and the range tracks actually were down before already on the top lane. But now, Booster travels in for the bottom side screen. He's gonna get hexed up first. Paris comes in as well with his own Booster travels. Doesn't even need that IO relocate anymore. So they get another kill. Tusk. He's down without a buyback as well, just because he went for a Mithril Hammer before. Probably a Desolator. Mid lane. ZXC jumps onto fucking Matt. Gets the ultimate off anyway. He's most likely dead. Pops the Veil of Discord. Abyssal Blade from ZXC. Necroman gonna come in. I mean, you can pop the ultimate, you know you're gonna be dead for more than 60 seconds anyway. But...
yeah.
Never mind, PG, he gets jumped, there's the Primal Roar, and he just ceased to exist.
He does. I don't know, it's still pretty much a stalemate. The advantage in gold is negligible at this point in the game. Experience is almost completely zeroed out. Both teams have about the same. They will find Funzy as Necroman jumps into him, trying to get that solo kill, and he will find it as Drell makes it off to the side. 2 for 2, both teams are fighting with less than their full potential, but I still think Denial are okay with the 3 that are surviving. Tiny pushing out mid. It's unlikely that Moscow 5 are going to be able to stick down in this bottom lane and continue the push with anything more than the Necronomicons and Forge Spirits.
Actually, it's pretty crazy that we're 50 minutes into the game, and there's only a 5k net worth as well as a 1500 XP lead for Denial. So this game, for a 50-minute game, is pretty even, at least for the graphs, and it's more or less about the buybacks mostly now, I think.
Yeah, and for now, it's Moscow 5 without the buyback on their Slark and buyback available for Denial. So even if they lose a pick off here or there, Denial are probably still going to be safe, even if it is Paris to fall. And Paris now with Boots of Travel, you already mentioned it, in a double damage rune. Okay, so I don't like that they use that double damage rune immediately. I'd love to see, especially the IO Tiny combination, give Tiny the bottle, maybe even in place of the Helm of Dominator, to be able to pop that double damage rune before a fight, because that's a ridiculous amount of damage that could be abused quite a bit more.
Yeah, they could even just backdoor with this. Backdoor protection wouldn't be able to do anything. They even ping out this tier 1 here, 364 HP. Bottom lane Choral, he's up to his shenanigans again. Looks like he's gonna escape this time around. But with the double damage, he's hitting for 800 damage. And definitely they should have just saved the double damage up, or maybe pick it up and immediately relocate for a building, or just do something with it.
Yeah, this way it's gonna farm Ancients a little bit faster, but it's so much wasted potential. Like, that double damage rune, it pretty much means they can't fight into it.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, that was a kind of a waste of an opportunity, but Moscow 5, they get scouted out as they do Roshan. Necrobook, everything has been used. They need to bring this Roshan down before Denial arrives.
Well, Screen going to Walrus, punch it up, and it's still not falling fast enough. Puck gets a Dream Coil onto 4, the Silence to follow up. BKB and Necromon's going to keep him safe, but Funzy on the high ground is able to get the Roar off. There is going to be the Aegis on the ground. Nobody's picked it up yet. Hex onto Paris. It's still on the ground. The Cheese and Aegis have yet to be claimed. Bignum potentially going to get it. It's up on the high ground. They're fighting up against Necro units with Screen and company. It's on the backlines. Invoker's cleaned up. Aegis secured by the Tidehunter up in the air. Cheese pop by ZXC. Going to use it immediately as he goes into Paris. Trying to man fight it. Is getting a couple bashes, but up in the high ground, they're going to toss Bignum up, killing off Screen with the Whisperers, and now ZXC can't fight up against Paris down to the low ground. Effing Mad is going to blink, as does Bignum, but Bignum's forced to run away, and it's a 2-for-2 trade. Aegis on the Tide.
Well, not the best hero to have that Aegis on, but at least it stays on Moscow 5. And not only that, the cheese also got picked up by Slark and used immediately. Although Invoker had to buy back for this and didn't really even get in to the fight or back into the fight properly. The thing is though, I think the snowball to the high ground, maybe to catch Fanzi, I think it was. He brought in ZXC with him as well, but it happened just as Roshan died, so they were on the high ground, not able to pick up the cheese or Aegis. So that hurt them a little bit. And now Paris, oh god, he finishes up a butterfly on the Tiny straight out. That means there's not going to be a buyback for him though, so maybe a little bit risky. But Moscow 5, they're not taking the fights as bad, especially considering it started with a 4-man Dream Coil.
Yeah, definitely. Paris does sell his Helm of Dominator in order to pick up this Butterfly, and I really would have loved to see him Helm of Dominator creep and then put the Dominator onto a Courier, which does work. You're able to keep the creep alive, and with an Alpha Wolf on top of this, it could be even more damage for Tiny, as if he even needs that. But still, Paris is going to get buyback very quickly. He's going to need a little bit more gold than what he has now, just to make sure he has enough reliable gold, even if he falls. But still, Tiny's 6-slotted right now, and that's going to maintain the case. Desolator on Tusk is going to be some nice damage for Moscow 5, but even so, we've seen how lucky Screen has been with those Walrus Punches onto the Tiny. I don't think it's actually going to connect hardly ever. With 35% evasion and the craggy exterior, I don't know, toss a coin, 50% chance you actually hit Paris.
Fucking Matt got a really clutch blink out at the moment. Just as Ghost Walk inflicted him. Oh, Choral, he goes in aggressively. Relocate gonna come in as well. There's the Primal Roar. They're gonna kill off one immediately. Slark is down. He has the buyback at least. Disruptor goes down the second. And now Screen, he's on the run. Forms the Snowball just to buy some time. Big now. He has the Aegis, so I guess he doesn't care as much. But Snowball out the fucking mad. Screen pops his PKB. Wants to go for the kills. There's the ultimate. Pipe activated. Screen just loses his life to the physical damage of the Tiny. Necromando, he's on the run together with Bignum. Nice tornado, but Charal keeps on going. No Hex for now. Fucking Matt gonna miss the Venom skill completely. But wow, okay. Yeah, Tiny, he hurts.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it for a large portion of this game. But this is one of the first fights where we actually see it. He crits down Screen in 2 swings of the club, and now they're up against only a Tidehunter with Aegis and a Slark if he buys back. They should be able to get racks off of this very easily. Tiny clubs the tower 2 times. They won't be able to glyph to stop that. Now Indignum throws an Avalanche. They don't really want to fully commit to the Tidehunter. He has double Ravage, and now Abyssal Blade. They're going to turn onto Drowl. He has a Ravage, going to commit it. It does catch up Paris as well, trying to focus him down. The puck actually survives through that. It's able to get off the phase shift. The Aegis has popped, and now into ZXC. There's the Tiny Cleave. He can't hit anything, so the Cleave damage is going to be enough to kill off ZXC. Throws Bignum up the air. Here's their second Ravage. Paris being focused, but not focused fast enough. Throws an Avalanche. It actually is going to stun ZXC, but then purged off. Dies mid-leaf as he tries to get out of this. Bignum being focused inside the kinetic field, and Paris is on a rip. He is going to kill off one more buyback from the Tidehunter. He's the only one surviving and trying to do his best he can. He's not going to cancel that TP, but now tossed up. He is going to be able to purge off the Avalanche stun, but doesn't even matter. No, that's 2 lanes of barracks, and GG well played coming out from Moscow 5-Int.
Finally, they managed to overpower Moscow 5 completely. Of course, the extra attack speed from Butterfly helping out a little bit as well for this engagement, but it took them longer than we really expected. But the Tiny is just too huge against the lineup that Moscow 5 had, or rather, Moscow 5 were unable to get too much farm on their own heroes just because they kept losing like one here and there. They got one here and there as well, but just not enough farm compared to a Tiny. So, this was only game number 1 though, guys. So we're gonna have game number 2 also coming up, where Moscow 5 can... They don't even need to change their drafting all that much, just maybe that play style a little bit, go a little bit more aggressive, force things before the enemy gets their cores farmed. But in any case, thank you so much for tuning in. I do hope you enjoyed the cast. If you did, you can always follow us. The necessary links are below the stream. For the casters, it's @Coucher for me everywhere, @GrandisV for my co-caster, and see you for game number 2.